now. So with all of that being said, I'm going to stop talking. Let's give a huge round of applause. TJ's class of 2017, Chappy Asel.
Thank you. It's a great introduction. You said all the right parts, too. All right. Before we get started, show of hands, who here is giving a presentation today? That should be everybody, right? I should see every single hand up. Okay. I actually remember my first tjSTAR, my first presentation, freshman year IBET. That was me. I was so incredibly nervous, I just went ahead, memorized the entire thing, and just recited it when I went up. I also remember my last tjSTAR. As Mark said, I was in the Automation and Robotics senior lab and gave a presentation basically as nervous as ever. It's crazy to think just how much has changed since then. This is where I'm going to be next week, literally in 7 days. I'm going to be going back to San Francisco and running SF Demo Night, which is one of the largest and most premier AI startup showcases in the world. That's right. So every couple of months, we bring together 10 of the top AI startups in all of Silicon Valley and really all of the world to showcase their products in front of hundreds of our community members and compete for prizes. Community members, what do I mean by that? Well, we're actually the largest AI community in the world. We host events in cities all over the world. I've been fortunate enough to go to many of these, hosting events, building community, meeting the very best people out there. To give you a sense of the scale, we have over 40,000 members, and this is in the span of about 2 years, across 20 chapters worldwide. We've hosted over 200 events. That's like an event every 2 or 3 days. We have over 100 team members who are helping us host these all over the world. Now, running the world's largest AI community has been a huge experience of growth for me, but that's not the only thing that's been growing. The second's a little more physical. This is actually a photo of me from senior year of high school. Guys, get inspired. This was right around tjSTAR. Thank you. It gets better. It gets better. So I had never thought I would end up stepping on stage in front of hundreds of people to flex in nothing but a G-string, but there I was, just a few years later. Now, there are a ton of stories I could tell you about all of that. There are a ton of lessons I could share, but I actually want to focus on something that is a lot bigger than that today. In fact, if you were to go forward to the year 2100 and you were to ask somebody to summarize this entire century in a single sentence, I'll bet you it would be this. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? It's AI. Well, ChatGPT, it's AI. So specifically, I want to talk with you today about AI's impact on our economy, on our culture, on our society, us, right? I also want to talk, more importantly, about how this impacts us as individuals, how it impacts me, how it impacts you. You see, about 5 years ago, back in 2020, actually 2021, I ended up writing my final paper in college on GPT-3, which had just come out at the time. And as I was doing my research, the deeper I went into it, the more I realized that this is going to change absolutely everything. The first decade of my career that I'd spent building all these technical skills wasn't going to be relevant in the next decade. So the more I researched, the more enthralled I became. These 2 books are my Bibles. You don't need to take notes. I'll show you where all these books are after. This quote in particular changed my life. It's a big quote. I will just read this highlighted part. The first ultra-intelligent machine is the last invention that man need ever make. When I read this quote, it really struck me. So today I want to talk with you about mankind's final invention. Because around this moment that I read those words, I decided that I wanted to dedicate my entire career to this. To solving mankind's final challenge. And today, I'm excited to share with you some of these insights from what I consider the frontier of human progress. So without further ado, I present to you principles for living in the age of acceleration. Now, what is the age of acceleration, right? It's kind of a vague term. Let's talk about what that means. Well, to illustrate it, I actually want to go through and talk about 3 different timelines with you. We're going to walk through 2014 to 2024, and we're going to look at ChatGPT, which is progress in AI, CHAPgpt, that's progress in my life, and then my bench max. Again, we're illustrating a point. So why did I pick these 3 timelines for you? One is because we're going to talk about different timelines, and the second is just so you can get to know me better. One of these timelines is going to be exponential. The other one's gonna be linear, the other one's gonna be logistic. Now, I know everybody's smart here, but I included those 2 graphs just in case you forgot what those are. Let's start from the bottom. Let's start with my bench max. Okay, so back in 2014, I was on the JV basketball team as a sophomore year. I don't know if I was tracking my bench press back then. Let's guess I was doing about 165 back then. Fast forward to my senior year. This is right before I graduated high school. I just barely got 280 up. I'm like on peak exponential right now, right? Going up super fast. This is 2020. I'm back in the TJ gym. Who recognizes the TJ gym? Benching 370 here. I was very proud about that. I then switched to 10 rep maxes because I kept injuring myself. But here's me hitting 10 by 335 in 2022. This is 8 years in. Also competing in the bodybuilding show. At the very end of 10 years, this is at the end of 10 years of progress, you saw between 2022 and 2024, things are really slowing down. I went from 451 to 465. I am a huge data nerd. I track all my workouts all the way back, going back like 10 plus years. I literally went ahead and graphed it. And you can see it follows a very nice, very tight logarithmic curve. I'm within about 5 pounds of my actual lifetime max, but look at how well it follows that curve. I'm not gonna go bench 1,000 pounds, right? That's just not gonna happen, I'm sorry. Okay, let's compare that now to ChatGPT, right? Okay, my sophomore year, what am I doing? I don't have many photos of myself. I grew up very, very introverted. But these are the couple photos I do have. This is me building a mega desk. Who remembers like the Office and Mega Desk episode? We thought we were really cool back then doing that. I also took APCS and started learning how to code iOS apps and fun stuff like that. In 2017, I graduated, ended up publishing a couple of his apps. One of them became the #1 homework app in the world, one of the top productivity apps in the world. Sold it off to a private investor. I also built a weightlifting app, which is what I use to track all my workouts, and built my first deep learning models to use in that application. In 2020, this is, 6 years into the progress, I ended up interning at Facebook, back when it was called Facebook. I also worked at Apple doing AI/ML research and development. Lots of fun, right? Came back to Apple full-time to be on the Vision Pro team, and then also later the Apple Intelligence team, what I like to consider Apple's 2 biggest projects of the decade. 2024, I ended up leaving all of that, ended up starting a venture-backed AI company, absolute moonshot, trying to build, it was Company Factory, trying to build AI companies using AI. And then the GenAI Collective went across the US, opening chapters in every major city in the US. Now, that was a lot, right? That was a lot in 10 years, but still, life is fundamentally linear, right? It's a little more confusing than that, like there's a lot of swirls and spirals and craziness, but I experience time linearly, right? I can't really speed that up or slow it down. Let's look at ChatGPT now. Keep those 2 in the back of your mind as we look at the progress in AI over the last 10 years. In 2014, Seek-to-Seek comes out. This allows us to translate tokens, basically English from one language to another. This is the foundation of large language models, all the stuff you see nowadays. On the image side, we have GANs, which are allowing us to generate reasonable images. I think there's a computer vision course, right, here in TJ. You might learn how to use GANs. In 2017, Attention is All You Need paper comes out. This is the real bedrock, the real foundation, the Lego pieces of large language models. We're finally able to take sentences and start turning them into pretty trash images, but images nonetheless. Okay, this is now 6 years in. That's the exponential I'm talking about right there, right? That's GPT-3. That's what caught my attention. We go 100x the size in the span of 1 year, from up to 175 billion parameter models. This is like, you're starting to get to fractions of the size of the brain, getting really impressive. And you can see how image generation technology is taking off with diffusion. 2 more years. Everybody knows this, right? ChatGPT comes out, DALL-E 2 comes out. Now we have state-of-the-art image generation that actually looks like real human images. This third image is chinchilla scaling laws. Now, it probably doesn't make sense to most people here, but this is one of the most important papers ever to come out in AI. It basically means more money, more data, more power. So like, this is where the $500 billion investment into AI comes in, because we just realized we throw more money, we throw more data at this problem, we get better results. In 2024, this is the end of our 10-year timeline, right? We've gone from barely being able to generate text to now we have O1 model. People have probably played with ChatGPT, right? That is better than humans, better than human experts in most categories. And who here knows like ChatGPT image generation, right? Studio Ghibli, who's done a Studio Ghibli image? Really? Nobody's in a Studio Ghibli image? You're lying. Okay, that's 10 years of progress. Incredible, right? Now, I can show you a bunch of really complex graphs as to like what the real exponentials are, but the one that really underlies it all is Moore's Law. Who here knows Moore's Law? Now I want to see everybody's hands go up. Okay, that's good enough. This is a logarithmic curve, by the way. That's why it looks linear. We have seen an incredible rate of progress in compute available to everything we do over the last, over 100 years. This actually extends a lot further than just what we're seeing with AI and with compute. You look at technology adoption across different technologies, going from the telephone to the TV, to the portable computer, to the smartphone. Things are getting faster and faster. This is the acceleration, right? You look at the entire history of progress in humanity, going back to the stone tools, the Stone Age, right? And you see how things get faster and faster, more and more rapid adoption of technology. We can actually look at the entire history of life. This is the 4.2 billion year of life on Earth. And you see when we look at 15 different studies and we map out the most significant events, think about going from like single cellular life to multicellular, complex multicellular life to where we are today, it all follows this exponential curve. Things are getting really fast. I saw all this. This was my realization in 2020 and 2021, right? Did I feel progress accelerating? That's what I wanted to go find. So I headed to where I thought the frontier of acceleration was, San Francisco. I firmly believe that the future is already here. It's just unevenly distributed, and nowhere is it faster than in San Francisco. I wanted to go this fast. Who knows Waymo cars? They're freaking awesome. I wanted to go as fast as a Waymo car, and I figured I'd find that by going to San Francisco. So I started attending events. This is right when ChatGPT, the API, had just come out, and as I was going to events, hackathons like this is where I found the best builders. This is where the action was happening. This is where things are moving fastest. These hackathons are great for meeting people, but I wanted to meet more people. I wanted to really stretch myself, really get outside of my comfort zone. So we started hosting events. We were one of the very first groups of people, me and some friends, to start hosting events talking about this technology, AI, that is advancing every single week on the very frontier of acceleration. We had such a fun time. This is the first time we brought people together. We had a dozen founders, investors, researchers that we decided we wanted to start doing this every week. And so we did. By the third event, we ended up having, I think, over 250 people sign up for our events. We had clearly caught lightning in a bottle. And for me, I went from going like, feeling incredibly introverted, barely being able to speak in high school, to enjoying this so much because I had found something I was passionate about and something that I wanted to bring people together for. It just continued from there. This is our, I think it was our fourth or fifth event. Within 2 months of starting to host events, we brought together hundreds of people. We didn't do one discussion group around one table. We did 36 discussion groups. We had volunteers running each one of them. We absolutely had exploded. And for me, there was a profound moment of realization at that event that I just showed you, right? This event. I told you that back in 2020, 2021, I wanted to dedicate my career to helping to develop super intelligent AI. I am not Sam Altman. I'm not running this crazy hyperscaling company. I'm not a Stanford PhD researcher. But what I could do is bring together the people on the frontier, the people who are building the technology, founding companies around the technology, investing in all this great technology, and accelerating things. So this is what this is when I found what I wanted to do, right? Bringing people together in the best ways I could, and hopefully by rubbing shoulders with giants, some of my values would rub off on them. So we kept hosting events. We hosted events for 40 straight weeks that first year in San Francisco, solidified ourselves as the largest community in all of San Francisco. The next year, 2024, we opened our first chapter, back when they weren't really called chapters, over in New York, spread across the entire entire country completely organically in the span of 1 year. You already know the rest of the picture, right? 2025, we end up becoming the largest community in the world. And this is it, right? I wanted to find the frontier of acceleration. This is where the pioneers are, the pioneers on the frontier. You can actually see an event here where we talked about one of the latest models to come out of China. It was an open source Chinese model called DeepSeek. everybody wanted to figure out, what does this mean for me as a founder, for me building my own company? And we had a meeting right after that, a meeting of the minds. This is where the technology is happening, and I want to jump basically straight into what are some of the insights that I've gathered from being on this frontier the past few years. So from somebody who is reporting a few years in the future, I want to share that with you today. Here's what I see. First, AI is a Cambrian explosion of innovation. Hopefully everybody knows what I mean by Cambrian explosion. Here's the way that I'd put it. First, solve intelligence. Then use intelligence to solve everything else. That's the DeepMind motto. You could say that's the entire Silicon Valley motto. This is what people think. This is going to be our solution to everything else that we're doing. You can think about things like governance and climate change, blah, blah, blah. If we solve intelligence first, it helps us solve everything else. I have a lot of friends who have started billion-dollar companies recently. This is how fast the technology is moving. It really is a place, a land of opportunity like we've never seen before. Sam Altman talks about a one-person billion-dollar company happening in the next few years. This is the age of infinite leverage, as I like to call it. That's absolutely going to happen. All those companies I showed you before, those billion-dollar companies, those all have under 50 employees. That's how rapidly these things are going. Pioneers on the frontier, right? There is so much opportunity. Like, this is the modern gold rush. There's so much to build. There's so much good technology to come, but you have to run towards it. And that's what I've learned, is you have to run towards this opportunity. Second, attention is our scarcest resource. You're gonna like this. If you've been on the internet recently, you know how much is competing for your attention. I just found these random GIFs. I don't know what most of this is, but I knew you Gen Zs would. Okay, everyone is competing for your attention. That's companies, that's organizations, that's even the President of the United States is competing for your attention, right? It gets even crazier when you think it's not just humans that are competing for your attention. 90% of all content online, generated online, is going to be AI generated by going into next year. That's going to increase very quickly to 99%. I'll tell you from a lot of my friends who are building companies, we're getting very good at capturing attention. And that really is the focus now. You've probably heard of the attention economy, right? I'm making AI seem a little scary. It's definitely not. I believe that AI is going to bring us into an incredible age of abundance. Everybody's seen this cool meme, right? In the next few years. It will be almost utopian. But even in an age of abundance, we have everything available to us. Attention is still a fixed supply resource, right? We're not going to be able to grow more attention magically, not human attention at least. Protect your attention like it's gold. Third, AI is helping us rediscover what it means to be human. This one's perhaps the most important. I like to think of the capabilities of AI as water, a water level that is slowly rising. That's us humans skipping up to, like, what is the peak of human capability, right? Maybe we used to think it was playing chess. It's definitely not that. It's not even IQ either. In fact, I can show you. It's certainly not image generation. It's not IQ either. Here's a really fascinating chart. In 2024, peak intelligence for these models was under 100 IQ, dumb human. What is peak IQ now? It is almost 140. That's 2 to 3 standard deviations, or more than 2 standard deviations above the smartest or the average human, right? And this is happening all in the span of under 1 year. IQ is currently not, or certainly not, our durable edge. There are a lot of people in AI who are doing a lot of deep thinking, a lot of galaxy brain thinking right now. If you go to our events or you go to Silicon Valley in general, a lot of people are spending time deeply thinking, like, what is the final frontier of our human capability, right? It's going to sound corny, but like what I think it is in-person connection, right? AI is not going to be better at connecting to people in person, close up, than we are for a long time. It's a little hard to see this screenshot, but I took a screenshot of all the events that are coming up in San Francisco. These are all AI events. This is 31 AI events in 4 days. That is how many events you are seeing. That is how often people are gathering to make sense about this technology and to connect with each other in person. This kind of knowledge spillover you see in San Francisco is truly special. I can say that very confidently, having gone around to 10, 20 plus cities around the world. and observing AI ecosystems. This is what we're trying to bring, is this knowledge spillover to cities all over the world. We've got an awesome future ahead of us. A future of abundance, everything like that. We will get there. We will definitely get there, but it's going to take a lot of work, and we have to really think about the human side of AI. That is what us, the GenAI Collective, are focused on, is the human side of AI. But what I want to talk to you about today is not the broad societal stuff, the broad cultural stuff. Let's get very personal. Let's talk about us as individuals, right? The age of acceleration is crazy. I hope that many of you get the chance to go be pioneers on the frontier, building this technology yourselves. How do you adapt to living in this age of acceleration? I'm going to share with you 3 principles today. One is refine your information diet. We talked about how crazy everything is right now, right? I'm going to talk to you about a few different parts here. One is the garbage in, garbage out principle. This is a huge thing in AI right now, that it's not just you throw more data at AI models and you get more capable models. In fact, it's throwing better data at these models. That's what's going to lead to better performance. The same applies to you, right? It's not just putting in any garbage TikTok information, right? It is increasing the quality of the information that you're receiving. Second, there is so much to be concerned about, right? There is so much you can be concerned about. Focus more on your circle of influence, what you can actually influence yourself, and your circle of control. That focus is going to lead to natural independent thinking. And on top of that, creativity. You can't see the bottom, but the bottom would be creativity. The more, or there's a sweet spot for how much you are constraining the information you receive that leads to the most creativity. I promise also that everybody here is very ambitious, right? I'm guessing everybody here is very ambitious here at TJ. If you want to wildly succeed, if you want to actually go make a real impact on your field, whatever field you're going into, you have to be incredibly obsessed with what you're doing. You have to be passionate about what you're doing, because there are so many passionate, obsessed people out there. You're going to find that if you are naturally selecting the information that you are obsessed with, and you're not just letting anything in, right? Focus on refining your information diet. The last thing I'll say is that your life takes its color from the average of your surroundings. So think about what your surroundings are. That includes the people you're around, that also includes like what you're exposing yourself to. My favorite colors are optimism and abundance. That's what I like surrounding myself with. But the world is very dynamic. That's going to be constantly changing. Your answer to that's going to be constantly changing. So especially in the age of acceleration, you need to be running more experiments. You like the emojis I'm using? You need to be running more experiments. I really like this graph. Who's read Atomic Habits? Do we have any readers here? Okay, this is a good amount of Atomic Habits readers. He has this very simple concept. 1% better every day. If you can make yourself 1% better every day, you're going to be almost 38 times better by the end of 1 year. Now that's hyperbolic, right? But that's something we can shoot for. We can take that principle of trying to be 1% better every day and apply it to our lives. This one's really fascinating. With acceleration, there is more uncertainty. When there is more uncertainty, it is way better to prefer exploration over exploitation. Hopefully people have heard of the explore-exploit trade-off. Spend more time exploring. You can reasonably find tools right now that are going to 10x you as a human. Not 10% better, 10x you as a human. Spend more time exploring. Humans are fundamentally anti-fragile. That means that we get better with the right amount of stress, with the sweet spot of stress that actually makes us better people. So don't be afraid to fail. Like, keep leaning into getting yourself out of your comfort zone and learning from the failures, the adversity that is in your life. Hopefully people also know Goodhart's Law. I know I'm bringing out a lot of complex things here, but life is very complex. There is no like one simple variable to optimize in life. Apply Goodhart's Law in that you need to find a balance in things. You can't over-optimize one variable. I've learned this the hard way. Life is incredibly complex, and make sure that you are always trying to figure out what that real underlying outcome is and what are the various measurements, the ensemble of measurements, not a single measurement that gets you there. Okay, I like this one. You can just do things. This is a YC-ism, a Silicon Valley-ism that's very popular right now. Sometimes you think like, oh, look at this. I have to go to a tier 1 university, get mentors, join YC, raise from a tier 1 venture firm, blah, 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 blah. Or you can just do things. I did not naturally have a you can just do things mentality. If you go and just like say, I want to make this happen, and you don't ask for permission, you just go do it, you're going to be like incredibly surprised with what you'll get out of that. Okay, third, deepen your human connection. I have done a lot of reading books, as you can probably already tell. I've read a lot of books about what is success, what is happiness, how do I find fulfillment. I didn't think that the book that I'd find the answer would be AI Superpowers by Kai-Fu Lee, yet another AI book. What it talks about is when AI can do everything better than us. I've already kind of talked about it, but our durable human edge is empathy. It's the ability to relate to people in person. It's love. It's everything like that. And I do genuinely believe that that's what it is. You see me leaning into it every single day. Deepen your human connection, and I'll talk about this more in a moment, but this is going to be a really special point. Here's another quote that I like. It's very simple. I don't even know where I got it. Seen and heard. Every human just wants to be seen and heard. I don't know when I originally found this, but it really struck me when I sat with it and just thought about it for 10 minutes. So don't do it right now because I have a lot more to show you, but somebody in here needed to hear this today, and for that, you're welcome. Okay, how do I live this in my life? How do I live these 3 principles for the age of acceleration in my life? 1, refine your information diet. By the way, I'm going to send out these slides after, so don't worry about taking notes. Okay, 1 is I focus on conscious consumption. I'm always thinking about what I am consuming, the information I am consuming, and how I can make that better. That's less TikTok, that's less algorithms in general. I focus a lot more on books, right? I love reading books. Spikiness, I lean into my obsessions. I'm obsessed with AI, with community, with weightlifting. I lean into those things, and I am a very spiky person. I like to spend more time around extraordinary people. I get so much value out of being around other extraordinary people who are spiky in other ways and seeing what I can learn from them. Number 2, run more life experiments. A Growth Mindset, another book by Carol Dweck, highly recommend. Just like think about how you can better yourself and always approach things with, I will get better at this. Maybe I'm not good at it right now, but I will get better at it. This is seeking failure wherever possible. I have this photo of me skiing because my father always says that when you are skiing, if you are not falling, if you are not failing, then you are not trying hard enough. We're anti-fragile, remember? Like if you are falling, you are pushing yourself to your limits and you are learning. There is no better place to do this, I believe, than entrepreneurship. I don't know how many people here plan to be entrepreneurs, but one of the best investments you can make for your life. I also keep a 1% habits log. This is every single week, every single month. I am trying new things and trying to think, how can I make myself 1% better? The last thing, as you can imagine from hosting a ton of events, meeting a ton of people every single day, is exposing myself to serendipity. This is not something I naturally do, by the way, but by forcing myself to be exposed to serendipity, I have been able to run so many more life experiences and just been exposed to so much more good. Okay, I had this last slide that I was gonna do, but I was literally at like 7 a.m. this morning. It's like, okay, I need to stop and think about this from the heart. So, you're all ambitious, right? Everybody here is at TJ, you're ambitious. Well, you're at the perfect place. TJ has taught me so much about what it means to, be ambitious, what it means to have rigor, what it means to be book smart, what it means to have, high intelligence. But there's something that is so much more important than all of that, right? And something that I never did learn at TJ. Because what school did not provide me was structured learning for emotional intelligence, right? There's a lot of teaching here about IQ and all the book smarts and stuff like that, but especially in the world of AI right now, emotional intelligence is so much more important than all of that. Because there was no books on how to be good at dealing with other humans with emotional intelligence, it was not something that naturally came to me. I don't think it's something that naturally comes to any of us. But staring down the abyss of the future of AI and really thinking deeply, that's the number one thing that I learned, is the value of human connection. If you want to do anything great, it's going to take doing that with other people. You're not going to do it alone. Learning how to deal with people is also the ultimate mountain to climb. That's what I've realized now, is it's really easy to read textbooks and learn like that, but it's so much harder to understand people and be good at dealing with other people. This is an interesting screenshot. This is like proof. It You can't quite see it, but it was 7 a.m. Literally 2 hours ago, I decided to take this screenshot. I have this window in the top left of my screen, literally 24/7. What's up here? Again, you can't really see it. That's my personal North Star. I'll actually zoom it in for you. My personal North Star that I have up at all times, this is my guiding principles. I changed about a year ago because of these insights. Make a dent in the universe. Have a long-lasting positive impact on society by creating and empowering others to self-actualize. Finding success and fulfillment and happiness for myself is one thing, but helping other people find it, helping the people around me find happiness, success, meaning in their life, that's so much more important. So how do I know that I'm succeeding at that? Well, one is I'm fortunate enough to be speaking to you all here today. Number two is that my parents are here supporting me. But number three, and probably the craziest, is that my friend, my best friend from TJ, Steven, flew out from San Francisco just to be here today to support me. He's literally flying back home in a few hours to be in San Francisco again. This is like another venture-backed AI founder. He took time out of his day to be here to support me, and that's how I know that I'm succeeding at deepening my human connection. So thank you. That's all I have.